Central Florida. Welcome back to the Q, Radio 1410 WQBQ. We are the voice of Lake County. Time right now is 2:24, and you're listening to the Bill Bryan Automotive Group Coaches Show. This is the pregame show for normally Friday night football, but because of the storm coming, we moved it up to Thursday night. Right, Coach Oates?
Yes, sir.
So this week will be Thursday the 7th instead of Friday the 8th. We're going to be at East Ridge High School. Now, have you been down there before, Coach?
Many times.
Tell me what's the field layout versus ours?
Their field is kind of down in a valley. It's got hills. It's just a nice setting. You know, you can sit up on the hill and look down into.
Well, that's the beauty of Claremont.
Right.
Yeah, where do you go find hills in Florida? Claremont.
Right. So, I've been down there before when I coached football before. We've played down there, and then with basketball, we played East Ridge twice a year.
Cool. All right.
Got a lot of wins down there.
Well, AJ, tell me a little bit about yourself. Number one, how old are you?
I'm 17.
17.
Yes, sir.
And will you turn 18 this year or next year?
Next year, January.
In January, all right. And so are you a senior?
Junior.
Okay, so you're a junior. Now, what position do you play?
I play wide receiver and cornerback.
Wide receiver and cornerback. Okay. Tell me what is a cornerback?
Cornerback, you cover the receiver, and
in case the wide receiver is busy, you can fill in and cover and catch.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, do you play any other sports?
I play basketball.
You play basketball. Do you run track?
No, sir.
I'm thinking you probably oughta. Because I heard how quick you ran down the field. They were talking about the streak going down the field.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah, it's so you have a love for football?
Yes, sir.
What's your plans after school?
My plans is getting a scholarship for football.
Where would you like to play football at? Don't look at the coach because I don't want him to say North Carolina.
I want him to go.
He looked good in blue, though.
He looked good in blue. Yeah, I hear you.
But my favorite college team is Florida State. So.
The Seminoles?
Yes, sir.
Gainesville's closer. And they got much better. Orange and blue look good, too.
Mm-mm.
No? No go.
37-35 is all I have to say.
Okay.
There you have it. Is that what the Alabama game was?
No, that was the Carolina-Florida State game last year.
Oh, well, there you have it. See, he wants you to go to Carolina. I knew that was coming. And so you plan on playing more football?
Yes, sir.
So the more you play, the more you love the game?
Yes, sir.
So you are a wide receiver and a cornerback. And Coach was telling me off air a while ago that you do a little bit of quarterback stuff too.
Yeah, I do quarterback, backup for Wyatt.
Backup for Wyatt?
Yes, sir.
So if something were to happen and he were to get hit hard or something, you could go right in and fill right in.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the backup quarterback.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, how long have you known Wyatt?
I've known Wyatt for my whole life.
Have you?
We played Pop Warner together.
So you played Pop Warner with him as well?
Yes, sir.
See, now that's a good group of kids right there that started with Pop Warner and went all the way up through high school, Coach. What do you think?
That's good,
They learn each other. They can read each other. They play well together. They know what each other's thinking and where they're going. And
care about each other. That's important.
And not only do they friends on the football field, but they're friends off the football field.
Right.
And so ever play soccer?
No, I never tried.
You never tried? I think soccer can be just as rough and tough as football. You're not tackling each other. Well, there is some tackling going on. I was just curious. I mean, anybody that's fast on their feet, that's why. I was just curious. So any schools you're talking to?
No, not yet.
How does that work, Coach? How do you get to be a part of that role?
Well, like I said, I got here in January last year. So what I started doing was putting together bios on guys that I felt like had an opportunity to play on the next level. So you start contacting coaches. In the spring, a lot of coaches came through, and you talk about, your classes, the 17 kids, the 18 kids. And AJ, of course, was one of the kids that I was pushing to coaches. And I don't remember off the top of my head, but you got some mail from somebody a couple months ago. Who was that?
I think it was a letter.
From, do you remember the school?
Nah.
I don't remember the school, but there's been some interest, and if he keeps playing the way he's playing, that will only increase. Right now, statistically, he's the number one receiver in the state.
I was going to say, I saw the fellas that were doing the play-by-play for us out there. They posted a picture of, I think, the Orlando Sentinel, I believe is where it was at, of you being the number one. You had the most yards,
Yes,
I guess. How many yards did you wind up with?
In that game,
In that game, yeah.
220.
220 yards in a game. Wow.
Yeah, that
That's
doesn't
pretty
hap-
impressive.
That doesn't happen a lot. So
That's pretty impressive. And so they did. They put that stat up on, if you'll go to Red Zone Radio on Facebook, you'll be able to see your name there
All right.
because they like to help promote that. And, you know, you've brought in some really good talent with you the last few weeks. I really enjoy this because it gets me to get to know these guys, and it gets me to get to know the coaches. And the more time I get to spend with you, the more comfortable I feel. And so on a team that does really well and wins one game, and then they just somewhat drop the ball and don't do as well, and they played well the last quarter. How do you go back and recoach? What avenues do we tackle?
Well, it's like I told the guys. I mean, we pretty much played the same game both games. It's just that against South Sumter, we came out on top. And, you know, I've had to remind the players and the coaches, because what happens is when you lose, people start pointing fingers and trying to figure out
Sure.
why you lost. But we played almost identical as we did in the South Sumter game, minus the penalties. We improved in that department. But we just don't harp on what happened. Again, we try to teach what we teach every day and just get better at what we do.
You know, the we not me thing, I've been thinking about that since the first time I heard you say that. Actually, when I got your first email, it said at the bottom, we not me.
Right.
And, you know, for the young man, the game where he caught the ball in the end zone and dropped it, you know, it's easy to point a finger, but he's part of a team.
Right.
So the more they work together, like what we were just talking about, AJ, where you guys have played since Pop Warner, you guys get the feel of what everybody. So to that young man, he's feeling like he cost the school the game, but it's we the team. And I love that attitude, because then it's not pointing fingers. It's we're all in this together. Win or lose, we're in this together, and we're a team.
Right.
And I really like that. So tell me, you've got a whole slew of coaches. I've got to meet most of them. How many of your coaches are you over the JV as well as the varsity?
Well, I mean, as the head coach of a high school program, the buck stops with you. So, yes, technically I am. But what I try to do on JV night is let some of our younger coaches run that show.
And then you
to
kind of
get
oversee.
them experience. And I don't bother them on game night. I go to the games to support them, but I don't make suggestions, you should run this. Now, if I see a kid conducting himself in a way that's not in the jacket way, and the coaches don't see it, I will address that. But I want my coaches to feel like they have a stake in the program and give them an opportunity to gain that experience. So I don't bother them on game night. I let them coach. I stand there and support the team, and maybe grab an occasional hot dog or something.
There you go.
You know.
You like a hot dog or two.
Or three.
Tell me, I do recall in the game the other night, there was a unsportsmanlike, was it on both teams?
Yes, there was a couple situations. But, yeah, there was one where there were actually 3 fouls on the play.
3 fouls.
Two on them and 1 on us.
So in that scenario, how do you coach the kids? Is it extra running? Is it extra push-ups? How do you get their attention as to, we're not going to do the penalty stuff?
Well, in that situation, I really jumped on the kid and got in his face and
Taught him who was in charge.
right. And you know, I tell the players, the coach, I talk to the officials. You know, if somebody's going to get an unsportsmanlike, it's going to be me, not my assistants, not my players. That's me.
So was that him back talking the ref? Is that what
Well,
happened?
we had a situation where one kid, he said something to the official that he shouldn't have, and then there was another situation where one of our guys got into it with one of their kids, and that's just a lack of discipline. and we can't have that.
Right. I mean, there's always smack talk on the football field.
You know, football, you don't need to do that because you have an opportunity to get the guy within the flow of the game. I mean, that's crazy to get those type of penalties. You know, you can always get the guy.
So what happens when they get 2 and you get 1? What happens to the ball? Does it get?
Well, what they do if it's dead ball, okay, let's say it's a dead ball situation.
Uh-huh.
They'll mark the 15 off against Eustis. Then they'll mark the 15 off against us. Then they'll mark the 15 off against Eustis. So what it ends up being is a 15-yard penalty against Eustis if it's two dead balls for them and 1 for us.
So if it's 1 and 1, then it would be up 15, back 15. It's
right. If it's dead ball,
right?
You know, if it happens during the course of the play, then it's just offsetting.
Do we have any? Did anybody sack our quarterback this time? I thought I remembered one sack.
I think he got sacked once.
I thought so.
I think he got sacked once.
And that's just a matter of the defenders not defending the quarterback, right?
No, that was the deal where actually he held onto the ball too long.
Oh, okay.
And then they flushed him from the pocket, and the guy tripped him up. So, you know, a lot of times when there's a sack, people automatically point at the offensive line. Sometimes the sack is on the quarterback. And our offensive line, as far as the pass game, played their best game of the season. So they gave him ample time to throw this past week.
Good. And he threw, and he got a couple touchdowns, if I remember correctly.
He did. He put some balls where it had to be. AJ was on the receiving end of a few of those. And like I said, it's a work in progress. These guys are getting used to what I want, and I'm getting used to what they can do.
Sure.
And so we just have to grow together.
And the difference is, AJ, with him being the head coach, he can see what your potential is, and sometimes we may not see that as a team player, correct?
Yeah, I see him every day. And, you know, that's one of the things I always tell parents. You know, sometimes parents get upset their kid is not playing as much as they would like. But our practices are open. Come to practice, and then you see. Like AJ's dad, the beginning of the season, you know, he was at practice just about every day. He comes to practice when he can. And so that's good. I want parents to know who's working with their child.
Sure.
And at the same time, if they're there, then on game night, if their child's not playing, they know why.
There you go.
Because they get to see him. So if the kid can play, we're going to play him because we want to win.
Yeah. AJ, any brothers?
Yes, 1.
Older, younger?
Younger.
Does he like to play football?
Yes.
There you go. And how young, or what grade is he in?
He in 7th.
Now, does he play the younger football?
Yeah, he played Pop Warner.
Played Pop Warner. Okay, good. So from them genes, you know that there's another one coming, Coach.
Oh, yeah.
That always makes you
Well,
feel
I heard the 7th grade is the real player. That's what I heard. You know.
Is that what you heard?
That's what I heard.
Is that right, AJ?
No, it's not.
AJ, ask that 7th grader, where's your name at in the stats? Oh, me. So East Ridge this week, instead of Friday, it is Thursday. Again, I want to let all of our listeners know. We're going to be at East Ridge. Any, and I don't want to give the enemy any ploys, but any special stuff, anything we're going to do different than we did this past week?
Win. Hopefully we'll win. No, we'll just show up and play Leesburg football. Hopefully mistake-free Leesburg football.
Sure.
East Ridge is going to be a tall task. They have some really good players. They're well coached. And so we're going to have to show up and play.
Tell me, Coach, in the last minute or so here, you showed up here, you took over as head coach, you had 2 weeks of playing with these kids, practicing with these kids, and we had our first game. How well do you get to know them in 2 weeks? How well do you get to I mean, your practices started off without pads, correct? Because it was so hot. How well do you know from the running, from the just conditioning?
Well, I had them in the spring as well. I was hired in December. We started working out at the end of January.
Oh, okay.
So I've had some time with them. Plus, some of the guys I've either coached or taught their older brothers or sisters.
Kind of like what we was just referring to with
right. I know his older sister. A lot of the kids knew me, like I said, from coaching siblings. So I think I came in with a little bit of respect.
I think you came in with a lot of respect. There's a lot of people that look up to you, Coach.
Yeah.
And
that's because I'm taller than them.
Well, we got about 20 minutes to go, folks. If I I want to tell you, Lakefront TV is going to be re-airing this tomorrow at 6 p.m. We're going to air it tomorrow at 6 p.m. Right here on the Q as well. Prism HD 1021, Prism 21, Comcast 22, Spectrum 497, Roku device, or online at lakefronttv.com. And don't forget, they'll be doing all of the home games. They'll be doing the videos. And tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, they're going to be doing the live last Friday's game with Eustis versus Leesburg. And if you can make East Ridge, well, if not, you'll be able to hear it here on the Q. Be right back.
You can listen to the Q live anywhere, anytime at 1410WQBQ.com.